Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Mary and I am so excited to have you guys here with me today. We are doing a project that I have been wanting to start for a very long time. It is going to be doing first impressions on whatever brand of makeup I can get my hands on. We're going to be starting in the lower dollar range and making our way up in price. So today we're going to be starting with products that are a lot lower. I'll get to introducing them here shortly, but I wanted to just kind of quickly break down what this project is going to be. And hopefully you guys are excited for this as much as I am. So if you're into this kind of video and you love seeing makeup videos get made, go ahead and subscribe to the channel here. Hit a thumbs up if you like this video, and ring that bell if you want to be notified when more posts come up. So let's go ahead and kind of just talk about the project here. It is going to be a face of one brand and one brand of products only. So that means we're going to be looking at primer, foundations, concealers, eyeshadow, hopefully eyeshadow palettes, eyeliners, mascaras, brow pencils or pomades with a brow gel, highlighters, blush, bronzers, liquid lips or lips, and a liner. And to set everything in place, some setting powders or setting sprays. So with that said, if a brand does not have one of those products, I will not be substituting with a different one. We will just have to do without that product. So without further ado, let's go ahead, wipe this makeup off of our face and put on a brand new face. All right, we are back. Makeup is off, so let's go ahead and get started into this first whole brand face. The product that the brand that we're gonna be using today is Amuse. Now, I first found this product on a website called Amuse. They do have their own website as well. However, that is for like bulk purchases of these items. All of the products here that I found were only $1. So that's very exciting. So I'm really hoping that we have some home run products in here. Now, the next thing here is Amuse does not have, to my knowledge, they did not have every full thing. We weren't able to get a setting powder or a setting spray, and they were very limited on blush. So that's gonna be a fun little project here, and a lip line. So let's just go ahead and get started. For these videos, I want to start with the eyes in case of any follow out. So the first product we're gonna dive into as a prime is gonna be the concealer. Now, Amuse has a 2-in-1 foundation and concealer, so I got a couple of different shades of these. I'm gonna be using the lightest one here as the concealer, hopefully, and then I have two other here to try down the road as our foundation, and hopefully we'll have a good shade match from those. So let's go ahead and break this guy open and see what we think of it. Okay. So I've never used these products before. These have all been purchased. Took them out of the package or the shipping materials. There's one that's still in the box here, but none of these have been opened until today. So these are very first impressions. These videos will only be first impressions. If you do want to see a full wear test of these products or any products, feel free to leave that information in the comments down below, and we'd be happy to try and make that happen for you guys. So let's take a look at this foundation concealer. It's gonna be, ooh, very nice. It's gonna be a wand applicator. I was kind of assuming it was gonna be like a pump where you'd apply it, but that actually does not look bad at all for $1. So it's very exciting. It looks to be, just from like a quick application, that it'll have some very decent coverage. We'll find out down the line here if it decides to crease on us. So let's go ahead and grab a mirror. This is just a Tarte palette, but we're not gonna worry about any of the products in it. It's just gonna be my hand mirror for the day. And let's get that applied. We're gonna be using this is an e.l.f. sponge, so we'll go ahead and apply with that all to the eyes. Start with one eye at a time, I suppose. And let's blend that in. Okay, definitely has a little bit of coverage. It is kind of covering up the veins and stuff on my eyes. I am gonna add just a little bit more. So far, just from very first impressions here, I'm actually very impressed by this so far. Let's just kind of go ahead and build that up, and hopefully that won't crease on us. Yeah, just as a general base, I think that's actually working out really well. We'll put it more to the test as we apply it actually more under the eyes and on the face as the actual concealer. But yeah, so far so good. I'm actually very excited for this product, and let's hope it actually works. The next eye here, and blend that out. I keep covering my face up, I'm so sorry. So I'll try to come up kind of close here to see, if you guys can kind of see. It's not too visible, just kind of placing that on the eyes. However, I think it is gonna, just laying that down first impressions, I'm very pleased with that. So we'll kind of see as we complete the look here if it decides to crease a little bit on us, or if it affects how the shadow is laid down. It looks to be kind of like a matte, like just a standard kind of matte concealer here. So I wonder how that'll play out when we apply it on the face as a foundation, how matte that's gonna appear on the face. But yeah, so far I'm liking that. So let's go ahead and dive into the eyeshadow palette. This is a six quad. Quad is 4. 6-piece eyeshadow palette. This one really drew to my attention. I think they have 3 other ones that are available on the Miss A site. However, this purple really struck out to me. We will try to use it in the look today. However, for a lot of these looks that we do, we'll probably just keep them very neutral. I do want to point out I am no makeup guru or anything like that, or an expert. This is just something that I enjoy, and hopefully down the line as these videos go on, we can kind of learn together. I can just learn new techniques and kind of improve those as we go. So let's go ahead and dive into this guy for $1 and see what we can get for a look. So opened up, that's what it looks like. Looks like we've got a very nice light white matte here, and then also a matte, kind of a nice like translucent shade that'll be kind of down here. All the other 4 ones in here are more on the shimmery metallic side. So it'll kind of, usually for starting at an eye, I would prefer to have a couple more mattes in there and then kind of put the shimmers over top of those, but we can definitely make this work out. I'll go ahead and just kind of quickly swatch these on my arm just to kind of see how that pays out. However, when that is applied to the eye, swatches aren't going to be too much, but just kind of show you what that will look like. All right, so these, did not swatch that in a very good place. These are the eyeshadows swatched. The white is not very noticeable when you do a swatch. However, that doesn't mean that's not how it would appear on the eye. I'm not sure how much we'll dive into that. Maybe we'll try it in the inner corner a little bit. And then the other, sadly, the other one that did not impress me too much was that very vibrant kind of purple color. It is a little sheer on the arm. However, maybe it's buildable. So we'll go ahead and just kind of put it to the test here and we'll see what we think. Let's go ahead and we will start with this one here down in the lower, my left corner here. When I did swatch it, it did get a little cakey. All of them are very creamy, or not very creamy. They have a creamy consistency, so that was kind of shocking to me. So let's go ahead and just use probably one of my favorite brushes ever. I use this probably for every eye makeup look that I do, but it's the Morphe 573 eyeshadow brush. Typically when I do looks here, I use 1, maybe 2 eyeshadow brushes. Very simple. However, we'll just kind of see how the look goes. So let's go ahead and start in that one there and just kind of focus that kind of in the crease. Use a handheld mirror here and let's see what happens. So there's definitely some color there. It's not over the top, however, sometimes that is preferred when it comes to an eyeshadow palette because you can really build it up and it's not so intense right away. You have to, you know, try to soften the color out. So something like this does not bother me at all. However, may bother a couple of people. I do think just kind of layering it up here a little bit, it already feels like it's building slightly. So we're just gonna kind of focus that all in the kind of the crease area, kind of doing windshield wiper motions all along, but making the color the most intense on the outer part here. And after we've kind of got that where we want it, let's just kind of go ahead and put a little bit on the outer part of the lid here. It is creating a good amount of dust in the palette. I'll show that to you guys here in a little bit. I don't want to pick it up and make it fall all over the place. So that is just something to keep in mind. There is a lot of fallout in the palette, and when you do pick up the product, it does have a little bit of dust that comes off. That isn't anything that worries me at all. However, if that's something that you try to avoid, it does have a little bit of that. I do think so far it is actually laying over that concealer really well. I know sometimes concealers can cause the eyeshadow to kind of grip kind of funny, but so far at least, I don't think it's causing any issues, which is very exciting. So that's that first shade. As we said, like, takes a little bit to kind of get it where you want it. However, I don't think that is too much of an issue. It just kind of depends on the types of looks that you go for. For something very neutral every day, I don't think that's much of an issue. However, let's show you kind of how the palette looks here. Kind of just pulling that up. It's probably not going to pick up very well here, but there is a lot of fallout that is built up in there. All right, so we're gonna go on to the next color here. I do want to deepen things up a little bit, and I think based off the swatches, we are gonna take this guy here. I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but let's just go ahead, use that same brush and kind of just follow a little bit lower on the eye to kind of just deepen this color up a little bit. I don't know if this one's gonna have as much fallout. It looks to be a little bit more creamy. Yeah, nothing really comes off when you tap it. So let's see what happens. So I'm gonna more just kind of stipple it in that area, kind of just where I want it to be a little bit darker. It's kind of showing up. Not really. It's really get in there. So it's kind of on the brush here. Just gonna stipple that onto the eye. So it's kind of showing up. It's really takes a little bit to work with, I think, here. That's okay so far. Let's go ahead and bring that color a little bit more on the lid. I might end up using my finger just to kind of attempt to build this up a little bit more. However, I don't want to go in too harsh quite yet. I kind of just want to first see how everything works with a brush. I do think maybe it'll apply a little bit better with a hand or with your finger. So yeah, it's deepening a little bit. It just takes a little bit to work, I think. We're just kind of doing the same thing on the other side, kind of stippling it to get kind of that deeper color. What I do want to do here next is I do want to kind of quickly step just ever so slightly back into that first shade, just to kind of help blend everything together ever so quickly, and just kind of quickly, more on this side, brush that in. Bring that color up in case we covered any of it up with the darker shade. And then what we'll do is we'll take a clean brush, so second brush here. This one is a ColourPop E16. This one's gonna be clean, and we're just gonna kind of brush what we just laid down and just kind of make sure everything stays nice and soft. We don't want anything too harsh. So that's what we're looking like so far with just 2 shades. That second color so far I'm not too crazy about. I might still try to get it to build up on this eye a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to. We can always kind of try to come back after we've laid a couple more colors down as well and see what we can get it to do. And it is still like it's a kind of like a cool tone, kind of purpley color, so it is pretty color, has a nice little shimmer to it. It just takes a little to work with it. All right, next, okay, let's try some stuff. We're gonna use our finger for this. We are gonna put the purple, we're gonna apply it all over the lid, and then we're gonna try and just very slightly take this other one here and kind of try to treat it as like a topper to kind of add a gold sheen to everything. So that purple, if it appears as intense or looks a little interesting, I don't know, it can kind of pull the color back a little bit. So let's just use our finger here. We're gonna come in to that purple color, purpley pinky color, and apply this to the lid and see what happens. So similar to the other shades so far, it is taking a little bit to build it up. It is kind of showing up, however, it is very kind of faint. So let's just kind of keep working on building that color. It does have really pretty like blue flecks in it, which I feel like it's a very pretty color. I just wish it was a little more intense. I think that's as much color as we're gonna get. It's not bad, just takes a little bit of work to get it where you want it. I am gonna go in, especially on this side, and try to deepen up that outer corner a little bit. It is looking a little light, so using my finger here again, we're gonna go into this guy here again. Well, maybe let's actually take this guy. Let's try some other colors out here. We're gonna take the guy up in the upper, my left corner here, using our finger and try to kind of deepen the outer corner of our eye here a little more. Start on this side, because this is the guy that needs the most help. Okay, that guy seems to show up. He seems to not need too much help. Just make sure everything kind of blends through nicely. Add a little bit side as well. So now we are going to try and kind of use that gold color, kind of just as a topper, try to kind of make everything flow together. So we're gonna go into it very lightly. So when I swatched this one on my arm, it did show up very, very intense, which these colors haven't really been doing that, which is, so now putting it on, that's what we're hoping for, is that we won't cover up that purple totally, but we'll see what happens. Maybe it will cover up the purple and maybe it'll actually look a lot better. So we're gonna use our hand here again, just gonna ever so slightly dip into there and press that over the purple. Now let's go ahead and use that first brush that we used and go back into that first matte color down here and try to bring that color back just a little bit. Again, I think we kind of covered it up a little much. So I'm gonna come in close. I think that's for the tops of the lids. That's what we're gonna do so far for the eyeshadows. We will come back and complete the lower lash line after we put on our foundations and our face. But I will kind of try to come in close here so you can kind of see it is it's kind of sheer. Putting that gold over that purple did kind of work the way I intended it to, so I do like that. It's all right. We'll come back and kind of talk about the products here a little bit more at the end, but yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to some eyeliner here. So I typically, for these videos, kind of just want to focus on a liquid liner. That's kind of the preferred one for me. And just kind of lining that upper line. However, if a brand does not have a liquid liner, I will do a pencil liner. For this brand, we did actually come across one that is a liquid and a pencil, a 2-in-1 for $1. So I think that is super cool. I don't think I'm going to use the pencil side today because I do prefer to just line on the upper lid here with a liquid liner. So let's go ahead and see how this liquid liner is. I have a feeling it's going to be like a wand type with like the felt tip, not the kind that I'm used to. So yep, okay. Yep, so here it is. Oh boy, it looks very, very black. We'll see kind of how that dries down. The first application there was super goopy, so I do think before we put this on, we will want to kind of rub some product off. Let's go ahead, just first impressions, very black, so that's very exciting. We'll see how this applies. We're not going to worry about winging anything out here. We're just going to kind of put a typical line over the top. If we did try to do a line with something kind of like this, I'm not sure how that would turn out. So let's just kind of do a standard line. I'm gonna lean back here a little bit. Dipping back in on my hand, just using what's on my hand because I'm worried to actually go back into the palette, or not into the palette, go back into the tube and it won't be so goopy. What's going on? Not too bad, it's a little sticky. But for the first eye, it's not bad at all. Let's go ahead and dip back in. Super goopy. Not sure how that's gonna pick up. Super goopy. Let's go ahead and kind of wipe some of that off. Give the other eye a go. A little chunkier. It dries down kind of fast, which makes it a little tricky to go back over it. I think that's as good as the liner's gonna get. So this is not my preferred way to apply a liner, so it might just be a little bit of user error there. Liner is very black. I do like that a lot. However, it is a little tricky to apply and it does dry down really fast, so it's hard to get just kind of like that nice precise line. It does kind of get a little chunky, which isn't always a deal breaker for some people. However, I do prefer to try to keep that line as thin as possible. So I'm not the biggest fan of that so far. However, we'll kind of see how it dries down. Maybe I have a nice finish. We are going to move on from the liner and jump into the mascara. This is called the Amuse Cosmetics Pro Big Mega Lash Waterproof Mascara. Looks like this. It looks like it has two sides to it, but maybe it's just the no, okay, it's just one side. Okay, it just looks like it maybe twists on two sides, but it is just one side. So let's go ahead and open this guy up. Ooh, a good old string of mascara come out at the top there. Very, very fat. Brush here, bristle brush. Oh boy. Whenever you dunk it in and you pull it out, there's a good amount of product that comes off at the end there. So I would advise maybe trying to wipe that off. That could get a little bit messy. Let's go ahead and give this a go. Let's actually curl our lashes first and go ahead and apply that. So stringy. Let's see what happens here. Try not to cover my face up too much. So from first impressions here right now, it's very thin. It's not looking like it's darkening them, but it's not really building up the mascara. Like, I have very small lashes in general, so when I try to look for a mascara, I try to find something that's gonna lengthen them, make them voluminous, bold, so that they can actually be seen. However, I can hardly even tell that I've even applied this yet. And I've already tried stroking it through a couple of times here. I'm gonna keep going and see if I can get it to build up. However, it's almost even looking like the couple times I pulled it out of the tube, it doesn't even look like so much comes out on the end there, but it doesn't look like there's even much on the bristles. So I don't know. I mean, it is building up the slightest. Let's just kind of let that dry down, and we'll move on to the other eye and see if we can just put another layer over that. So stringy. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and try to do a second coat on the other lashes here. I mean, it is building, it's just taking some time. It's starting to come together. It's kind of hard to see my teeny tiny lashes over that thick eyeliner, so it's kind of building up. Alright, so we're gonna leave the mascara at that for now. Let's actually dive over into brows here real quick. I had a brow pencil, however there was not a brow gel. Now, using brow pencils is not something I do frequently. It is something that I do want to test out on this channel for you guys. So there might be some user error here when it comes to brows. I do prefer using just like a brow gel typically. So let's give this a go. So we do have the Amuse Cosmetics Pro Eyebrow Pencil Matte Long Lasting. It does come with a spoolie on the end, so that's very exciting. It is a $1 product. Let's go ahead, took it out of the box here. This is the first time opening it up. Very interesting top. When I looked at it online, I could only really see it from the side, so I just assumed it was kind of like a thin, angled eyebrow pencil. However, from the front here, it's very triangular, so that is different. I'm gonna try and focus just to kind of use this front tip here because I want to keep it as thin as possible, but it does also, like we said, come with a spoolie here. So let's go ahead and comb out our brows and let's see what happens. Just off the bat here, I do think it is a good shade match for blonde. I think I bought the ash, it says ash blonde on there, so for my blonde hair, I do think it is a fine color. Just off the bat here, you can see it is darkening them up a little bit. I'm not going to do too much shaping, just kind of filling to kind of deepen them a little bit here. Very first impressions, not too bad. Right, and we'll move on to the other one here. Alright, so for overall first impressions, I'm actually more impressed with that than I thought. I know they might be looking a little bulky to some people. However, I think it's a very good color. I think it actually you can kind of work with the product nicely. There's a couple times I kind of came in a little too much or came a little low, and the spoolie just kind of cleaned that up really nicely. Some people try to get like that hairlines. I don't think it's good for that. It's just kind of a good color filler. So if you just kind of want that type of brow, I think it'll work out very well. Maybe if it had a matched up brow gel to kind of comb your existing brow hairs through again, maybe that would work. However, just on its own, I think it is a good just kind of base color. And then as we add the foundation and other face products here, I think it'll kind of settle into the face, settle in nicely. So let's go ahead and set that guy down for now. And let's get into the face. We do have a primer from Amuse. This is the Amuse Color Correcting Face Primer Radiant Glow. It is a makeup base, oil-free and healthy look. So I'm very excited for this. Let's go ahead and open her up and see what it looks like. So it is a tube that you squeeze out. Let's kind of, ooh, it's purple. Okay, so it's kind of purple, kind of gel based. It does seem to, when you kind of apply it, sheer out, so that shouldn't be an issue. Let's go ahead and put this on the face and see what we think. I'm just gonna apply a little bit to my fingertips. Like it's so purple. That's so crazy. I'm gonna start kind of here. I don't know how much of this we want to use. It has a smell. It doesn't smell bad. Kind of like grapes. Alright, we're gonna add a little bit more. Bring it a little bit lower. Some on the chin. It doesn't have like a sticky feel, but however, when you rub it, it does kind of feel just ever so slightly grippy. So I do think it's gonna help hopefully keep the foundation in place. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it for a nice glowy skin. Yeah, I mean, first, really quick impressions on that. I mean, I feel it laid out nicely. It didn't take a lot to really put any on my face. It feels like it's gonna kind of grip the primer in. It has a little bit of luminosity to it that I think will kind of shine through, which might help out with this concealer, which when we put on our eyes, foundation concealer, was, you know, just like a general matte. Wasn't sure how that would apply, so maybe this will kind of help shine that through. Looking at like kind of like my pore areas, it's not like fully pore coverage, but I do think it did kind of help a little bit there. So I do think it's gonna hopefully help that foundation slash concealer kind of lay over very nicely. So very first impressions, that one I'm actually very excited about. All right, so we have a little bit of a scenery change here in the back. My lights decided to die out on me, so hopefully these ones back here don't flicker out or anything like that. So a little bit of a scenery change there. Let's go ahead and continue where we left off and take a look at those foundations. We're gonna be using 03 Light for our foundation today. Hopefully that won't show up too dark, but we'll have to find out. All right, so we are just going to take that and kind of just run that all over the face. Just kind of stripe it down a little bit. Not sure how much coverage this is going to have, being that it is a foundation slash concealer. So let's just kind of start there. We're gonna take a that e.l.f. blender, kind of just start pushing it into the skin. Okay, I think it has pretty decent coverage just from like the little that I put on there. I don't think I'll have to go back through too much and kind of re-add. Just from those couple of stripes, I do think it laid down very nicely, and you can still see that primer kind of shining through. So it's kind of nice and glowy. A little bit more here on this side. Kind of has a baby powder smell. and the forehead. Okay, so just kind of from a quick first coverage of this, I do think it actually did a really good job of like laying down. The product is sitting nicely on the face so far. I do like how the primer is still kind of that shining through. It is doing a pretty good job of covering up any redness on my skin. I do always have a spot right up here. I'm not sure how well that picks up on camera. That takes a little bit to cover, so I will go back and kind of cover that up a little bit. I didn't get too much on my nose. And this one is a little on the darker side. It's blending in nicely. It's not picking it up too much on camera. I usually would go for a lighter foundation than this. However, we use that lighter shade as our concealer, so we are going to use that and kind of conceal the eyes and try to brighten the face just a touch with it, because this is a little just slightly on the darker side for me, and especially the season, maybe when come summer and maybe I have more of a tan, this will be a better shade match. However, currently just slightly on the dark side. We are going to take, just because it is a little bit dark, a little bit extra and kind of run that down the neck just a little bit so we don't look scary. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and conceal now. So taking that original shade, the light 02 buff, kind of conceal under the eyes, try to brighten up everything a little bit here, so we're not looking too toasty. So usually what I like to do is just kind of take a quick like swoop like that. However, I am gonna kind of pull this down a little bit because we are a little darker with our foundation today, so I do want to kind of bring that coverage down a touch. And we'll just take a little bit to the chin here and kind of fan it up on the forehead. We can be crazy with this. And I'm not going to worry about the nose yet. We might come back and kind of add a little bit more there. But let's start there. We'll kind of see how this lays over top that existing. I'm going to rotate my sponge to a more cleaner side and blend that in. I do think that is blending in very nicely with the first one, with that first shade of foundation slash concealer. The overall feel of it, it doesn't, like, I can feel that I have foundation on my face. However, it doesn't feel like it's, you know, sticking to anything too dry or anything like that, or feeling too cakey. We'll go ahead and check out under the eyes there. It doesn't seem like it's creasing up too much, and even on the eyelids too. I do naturally crease a little bit there, but it's not too bad yet, which is very, very exciting to hear. So let's, so usually at this time I would make sure to pat out any additional concealer here so it doesn't crease, and we would set that right away with either a foundation powder or a setting powder. However, Amuse does not have one, so we are going to have to pass over that step and kind of see how this decides to kind of just sit on its own. So we're going to hope for the best on that, and let's go ahead and dive into, let's finish our eyes here real quick. Just kind of take care of that, and we can kind of even use maybe some of those powders in there to hope that no creasing really happens. So let's do that. I'm going to take that clean brush that we did, and I'm actually going to I'm going to dip into that light color and try to kind of use that as a slight, ever so slightly setting under the eyes here. Don't want to overdo it though and make it look white. Just don't want it to crease. Let's take that original color here. I'm gonna use the same original brush that we had before. There's not much product on it right now, and I'm gonna dip in there, and then I am going to pinch it down to kind of make it a little bit flatter here, so I can get nice and up close on that lower lash. All right, and then we do want to deepen that up a little bit. Let's just take this guy here. I know that he was a lot to work with, but maybe if we're using him a little bit more compact when we kind of tighten our brush here, maybe he'll show up a little bit more deeper. So we're gonna kind of do the same thing, kind of dip into him. We're gonna kind of tighten that brush up, and we're gonna focus this more just on the outer corner of the lower lash. And really try to deepen that up. And then just kind of also taking it and swooping it up to kind of pull that shape out. And then just taking that and pushing and blending that into everything else up on top. So it's not showing up too much on the bottom there, but that's okay. It can be a nice, subtle lower lash line, but I always find it nice to kind of add a little bit of color down there. Just make sure that you blend it in with the existing eyeshadows up on top. It is kind of, I feel like it's showing a little patchy here. So we are gonna kind of try and blend that out just a little bit, but I don't know what I'm gonna have for luck. Okay, I might just have to leave it at that. All right, let's go ahead and finish up that lower line, lash line by adding some mascara and finishing those eyes up. Going back into that Pro Big Mega Lash. Ooh. Still makes a massive string. Let's see how these work or how this product works for the lower lash line. Here's what it looks like on the bottom lash lines, bottom lashes. I actually might prefer that a little bit more because it is such a thinner mascara. It might be a little easier for the bottom lashes so nothing under there gets too clumpy. However, for the top lashes, I'm still not entirely sure what I think of it, but for the bottom lashes, it's really not too bad. So let's go ahead and go into our blushes and bronzers and highlighters. This might be where everything kind of like really falls apart. So for bronzer, yes, for bronzer I believe I only have one here. However, there was also a blush here that they look practically like the same color. So I'm going to use the one that's indicated as bronzer for bronzer, and then I do have two blushes, which is either that one that looks just like the bronzer or a very, very, very purpley color, which is a color I've never really used. It looks very similar to the purple that's on my eyes, so maybe that'll tie in very well. I'm just not sure how that's gonna look on my face. So we'll see which one of those we use. And then for the highlighter, the only one that they had currently available on Miss A was this very, very light kind of silver looking highlighter. It looks kind of glittery. So we're gonna see how these lay down on the face. However, this blush and this highlighter, I'm a little scared for. So let's go ahead and bronze up the face here a little bit. We're gonna start with that Amuse Cosmetics bronzer. It says Diva on the back. Maybe that's the shade it's in. We're gonna use a ColourPop F18 brush, bronzing brush for this. And we're gonna see what happens. So we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna kind of first start by kind of testing this out of my hand. Don't see too much happening so far, so let's just kind of go for it. All right. Okay, so it is starting to show up. You can kind of see it there. I was worried that this is going to be super dark, but it's not too bad yet. Hopefully it won't get bad. I'm just going to kind of focus that kind of on right below the cheekbone there, kind of in the sinks of the cheek. and kind of work it up a little bit. And then let's take a little bit up on the forehead here and kind of push that up into the hairline. And just kind of taking what's ever left, taking it down here. You don't want to deepen this up too much because of the foundation being already a little bit darker, but we will just kind of use this to kind of set everything down over here. So that's the bronzer so far. Actually not bad at all. I was very worried about the color being a little dark. However, it doesn't come off as intense right away. It doesn't kind of appear on your face as intense right away. So you can kind of build that up a little bit, which is very, very nice. So from the first impressions here, that's not too bad. We'll kind of see how the blushes, the blush or blushes and the highlighter kind of stack on top of that. Let me just quickly, I want to swatch this bronzer and this blush right next to each other because I'm really not sure if they're the same color or not. They look so similar. Not sure how well you'll see that. So this bottom, this one here is the bronzer and the one above it is the blush. So it's a little bit lighter. Let's check out this purple. We're gonna give the purple a go. Hopefully this won't just turn everything. They have other shades on the Miss A site, however this was the only ones available, and based off the pictures I do believe I thought this one was gonna be a slightly different color, so that was a little tricky to select from the website. Let's just see what happens here. I'm gonna take an angled elf blush brush, dive into this purple here, tap off the mega amounts, not the mega amounts, just tap off the excess and give this a go. So it is, I mean, it is purpley. It's not appearing as purpley on my face as I thought. So I'm surprised. Still not sure if it is a color I would go for on a regular basis. However, it isn't appearing the way I thought it was going to. So there's a positive there. Maybe the eyeshadows are kind of helping out with the way that this is looking. So I do feel like I went a little intense on this side. I am gonna just kind of quickly try to fix that up a little bit with whatever foundation I have left on here. Kind of settle that down a little bit. Let's go ahead and give the highlighter a go. Alrighty, for highlighter, we are going to use, let's try a fan brush because I don't know how intense this is going to show up or how glittery it might show up. So I'm going to try and use a fan brush. Maybe that'll kind of keep everything a little bit softer. Alrighty, I do kind of want to just quickly kind of run my hand in here. Ooh, very, very, wow. Alright, this might be very, very white, very beaming. Let's see what happens. Kind of quickly dip in. Okay, so it's definitely showing up. Not sure how well you'll be able to see that kind of there on camera. Very highlighty. It is. Okay, yeah, it definitely builds. I don't know what I think of it yet. Let's just apply it to the other cheek. Okay, let's kind of take what's left here very so gently, kind of brush up the nose. And I do want to dip back in and kind of just hit here real quick I know some people will usually take a more defined brush. I like just to kind of quickly go like this. Okay. All right, so I'll try to come up a little bit closer so you can kind of see all three of those together. Very highlighty. The blush, a little bit more impressed with than I thought, and I actually am really enjoying the bronzer as well so far. So I really was expecting that to become a whole train wreck, which it actually didn't turn out to be. So that's very, very exciting. I think we only have one product left to try out. So we're coming to the end of this, which is very crazy, very exciting. So the last product that we have to test out today is the Amuse Cosmetics Liquid Matte Lip here. This, I believe, was the only shade that they currently had available. So we'll see kind of how that matches up. Let's go ahead and open her up and see what it looks like. All right. So that's kind of what the doe foot looks like. Pretty standard. Also smells kind of similar to the primer, kind of grapey. We'll just go ahead and give it a go here and see how it looks. So right off the bat, it was a little messy applying. Usually I would have wanted to put a liner down first. However, they did not have a liner. I'm gonna come close, it's a little bit messy. It turns matte right away here. It is weirdly sticky on the lips here. Not sure if I'm a huge fan of that. I will kind of try to go in and kind of fix this. The color's not bad. Yeah, it's very drying, very sticky, but yeah, so let's kind of clean that up here, kind of fix up the look. All right, so this is the overall look. Let's just go ahead and quickly clean up the brushes that we used today and kind of take a diver deep into these products and what we thought of them. All right, so for the eye products, eyeshadow palette, and the liners and the mascaras here in the brows, overall, we'll start here. The colors are nice. I think it's more leaning on the cool tone. I am happy how the two of those guys kind of showed up together. I wasn't sure how that was gonna work out, and I was able to kind of work with that a little bit. However, overall, I felt that the product took a lot of time to build up. I have a lot of these colors already in existing palettes that I do have that are a little bit more pigmented and apply a lot quicker. So I don't know if this is a product that I would reach for. However, I mean, it did make a decent eye look. So if this is kind of the kind of colors that you gravitate towards and you like kind of taking the time to build up those colors, it is only $1. You get 6 eyeshadows for $1. So I do think that is a very great value. However, just for me personally, I don't think this is going to be a product that I do reach for on a daily basis. Then the other products that we used on the eyes here were the liner. So I have not tried out the pencil side of this. I will definitely give that a go at some point, but I do generally always lean more towards a liquid liner to kind of quickly line that upper lash line. This isn't the preferred method of a liquid liner for me personally. However, it did go on. It is a nice black color. It did apply a little chunky. So if you are into that thicker line and you do like this applicator, for $1 to get both of these is, I think, really awesome. It's just not gonna provide that nice, precise, thinner line that I would be used to. So this part might be a pass. I am gonna test this out just kind of in my daily routine and see what I think of this. The pencil side. However, I don't think I'll be reaching and using the liquid side very often. And then that's going to take us into the mascara. For this guy, because I have such small, very little baby eyelashes, I don't think this is going to be one that I reach for on the daily either. It just takes a lot to really build the product up and get it to actually show. It's not very volumizing. However, for the bottom lashes, it might be something that I do reach for. I do kind of like how it kept them from not clumping up too much. I just kind of darkened them up a little bit. So I might use it, test it out a couple more times on the bottom lashes. However, for the overall just top lashes, it's not the mascara for me there. It is $1, so if you are into the more lighter looks of makeup and you just want to whip on a little bit of mascara, it might be a good product for you. However, again, for myself, I don't know how much I will be reaching for it except for those bottom lashes. And then let's go ahead and talk about the foundations slash concealers. I honestly was very surprised by these. I think the lightest one here that we use for a concealer, O2 Buff, I think it laid down very nicely for us to put down our shadows. I'm really not getting much creasing with the way that my eyes are, which is very exciting. And even without setting under the eye here too much, I don't think it's creasing up too much, at least not here yet. I'm not going to be doing a full wear test on this. However, if you do want to see any of these put to a full wear test, just let me know that information down below. I'd be happy to do that for you. But I loved this O2 Buff color for a concealer. Love it. And then the next colors that we had were those O3 Light and the O2 Sand. It is so crazy, I thought, between the O1 and the O2, how different they were. I ended up using the O2 as the foundation, which was a little deeper of a color than what I'm used to in the current season that it is. However, it did lay down nicely. It's not like oxidizing anything too deeply, so that's a bonus. So maybe come warmer weather, this will be a product that I go to and test out a little bit more. However, for the current kind of spring weather here that's starting to come around, don't think it's going to be the foundation I go to, but I do plan on using the O2 Buff a little bit more often. I do like how that one worked. And then underneath that, we did have the primer. I think this is, so far, I'm very excited about this one as well. I like how there was that little bit of sheen that kind of came through with the foundation. I think it did a good job kind of covering up some of those more enlarged pores that I have around my nose and my chin here. I'm not getting too much creasing, which sometimes it's a combination of primer, sometimes it's a combination of foundation. I think the foundation is just sitting very nicely on top of it. Had a grape smell, which sometimes that bothers people. That didn't bother me at all. I do think I will be reaching for this primer a lot more often. I'm very excited to try it out with other products as well. So that one is a plus for me. And then what do we have next? Did we talk about the brow product? We did not talk about the brow product. I kind of jumped around there. So let's kind of jump back here real quick to this brow product. So I'm very new to brow pencils here. They're not something I use on the daily basis. However, for using one of these recently now here, I actually was pretty shocked with it. The ash blonde was a very nice color for my brow hairs. I thought it was easy to work with. If I kind of went out of the lines a little bit, it was easy to take the spoolie, kind of comb that away. Especially getting a product plus a spoolie for $1, I think is a very good deal. The shape of it is just very interesting. I don't know if I'll ever use it in that bold and bulky stance, and I'll probably always try to use like a nice sharp tip to kind of, you know, just very ever so lightly kind of fill in the brows. But for a very first impressions, I actually was very pleased with that, and my eyebrows don't look too scary. So I think this is one that I'm going to continue to be using and kind of working to get better eyebrows. So that is super exciting. Next we have the bronzer here. This I actually was very shocked with as well. I was worried that it was going to come on a little intense, a little too dark. However, I do think it built up really well. I haven't had a lot of luck with bronzers honestly in my life, and I've really only stuck with one for a very long time here, so it is very exciting to find another one here, and only for $1 that I might start actually using a little bit more. So that's super duper exciting. This is one that I'm actually really excited to have on hand. So that is a A+ product for me. And then we have the blushes. I did not dive into this one here too much. I do think it's going to be a little bit too similar of a color to the bronzer for me personally, so I did only focus with this more purpley color. It did not lay down as purple as I thought it would, which is very exciting. I think because we added that purple to the eyes, I think it kind of tied that together nicely. However, I don't think it's going to be a color that I would reach for on a regular basis. I know that they do make other colors if they are available. Maybe I will go out and give those a try if they do become available in stock. However, just these two particular shades, I don't know how often I will be using them. And then the highlighter. I think just with a good combination between the primer and this guy, I think there is a very, very good shine to the face. I use this kind of as like an overall highlighter kind of in this general area. I don't know if I would use it for that moving forward. I think I would use something a little bit more pulled back, and then if I wanted to add just a little extra vavoom to the face, I would maybe kind of quickly tap that on in just a specific area. I thought I'd be very thrown off by the very light white kind of silver color. However, I don't think it's pulling too much of a sheen or a silvery white tone. I think it actually is kind of showing up fairly nice on the skin here, so that's very exciting to hear. I might use this one a couple of times, however, not for like an overall highlight. And then the last product I believe we have is the liquid matte lip. Now this one, it's a nice color. This was the only one I could get my hands on, unfortunately. The feel of it is very sticky. It's not really a format that I would feel that I reach for very often. It's kind of distracting. It's drying, but at the same time, like when you talk, your lips kind of get stuck together. It is a little messy to use. It might just be because it is a newer tube. Sometimes it's takes a little bit to get it. It's a little goopy when it first comes out. So it was a little messy there. However, just the format of it, I don't know if it is going to be a matte lip that I reach for on the daily basis. So that is the overall kind of look on the products here. I do want to kind of pull up how much this was in total for you guys. All right, so this overall face, we did not have a brow gel, we did not have a setting powder, or we did not have a setting spray or a lip liner, but that did help bring that price down a whole lot. Each individual item that we used today was $1, so that is going to be $1 for one of these acting as a concealer, $1 acting as one of these as a foundation. And so that totaling out altogether, this face was $11 total. I think that is amazing for the overall outcome. For this to be $11, I think that's super cool. Some of the products, as we talked about, are not products that I'm going to be reaching for on a daily basis. However, I do think I did find some products that I am very excited about. If you're interested in any of these, I mean, go ahead and check out Miss A's website. Super duper affordable for some of these. If you do have any other Amuse products that you would like me to try out, leave that information in the comment section below. And again, if you want to see any of these products put to a full wear test, leave that in the description box below. I do plan to continue doing these videos, trying out a bunch of different brands. So if you have brands that you'd like me to try out, once again, leave that in the comment section below. I'd be happy to add that to my list of so many brands. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you did enjoy it, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you can be notified next time I have a post. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this first video of this project. Very excited to continue doing these for you. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye!